Hello, everybody. Letting everybody get logged on. I hope you guys can hear me. I know I have a different background today. I don't know if I like it. I think it'll work. And I have beach hair. Forgive me today. How are you guys doing? I got not so great news today. So again, unfortunately, my clock's telling me it's time to teach, and I'm letting you guys in. So if anybody has anything they want to ask, go ahead and ask it while we're just getting everybody logged in. And then we're going to have a nice little conversation today about the new bureaucracy and BS going on in our state. Because there's more.
Well, your hair is beautiful. You look great.
This is what I call beach hair.
Love it. Love it.
Wash and go. Yes, it's wavy. People tell me, oh, does it naturally have that wave? Yes, it's this kinky and frizzy all the time. Thanks for asking. Oh, how are you guys doing? Good?
Yeah, you know, it's the process of trying to now find the right people for the house.
Yeah.
How to advertise, how to take pictures and get it on the web so we can get some people. Yeah, Erica had an interesting applicant that couldn't prove her income, couldn't prove her work. It was very interesting, these people that show up.
I can't prove to you that I'm even breathing, but I want to rent your property.
Right. And we're afraid to say no, you know. I tell her, just let some time pass. Don't respond so quickly.
Yeah, it makes it a little challenging sometimes.
I'll mute myself so you can log on to everything.
I'm just letting people in the room. All right. Anybody else have questions? Anything that I need to know? I see there's something in the chat. Hang on. Just came back from the landlord protests at City Hall. Decent turnout. Where is it? It happened at 9 a.m. Where was the protest is what we're being asked. I want to say it was in LA City Hall, Los Angeles, correct? Look, here's all my peeps going, we rallied. Oh, Andrea's unit is in Sherman Oaks. To answer your question. I saw that, Val. All right, I'm letting you guys here. I heard
Ready.
somebody. Yes.
Yes. This is Ivana. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, good. I love your hair.
This is natural wash and go. Okay, it's this frizzy naturally. It's my people, guys. Come on.
Patty, I have a question. So the property is under Larso and it's been having, I have issue, you know, with the tenant who moved in last March this year. And she's doing, you know, her dog sitting business, you know, and the property. And I've been trying to talk to her in person. Like I've been asking her, you know, what is a good time to talk to her, like about a month. And then she keep like, you know, I'm busy. I'm going to let you know about this. And then finally, you know, I sent an email reply to her that, you know, according to the lease agreement that, you know, she has, his property is for residential property. And there is no prior landlord written consent saying that you're allowed to do the business, you know, in the property. And then what she replied to me is like, oh, it's never communicated with me, you know, before I move in. And then, oh, you know, I don't understand what you're talking about. I was like,
The rental agreement, it was communicated with you before you moved in.
I know, it's just, I think she's trying to make anything like to the point, really? When you sign, you know, before you sign the contract, you have to see this one first?
You didn't rent this house to run a business. You rent this house to live in. We're not allowing you to run a business out of the house. Have a nice day and stop your business.
So, Patty, is it okay to do all the communication, through email, or it's better, to talk in person? Because I have a hard time to talk to her in person because she keep refusing to meet with me.
Via email, but don't use absolutes. That way you're not threatening her.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Okay. All right.
Deep breath.
I know, it's just cause, and then the smoke.
The very first sentence in your written rental agreement says, I agree to rent this property for residential purposes. The very first sentence.
I know, it's just,
So tell her, no, unfortunately, this isn't a commercial unit. Maybe you need to reside somewhere that allows people to run a commercial business, but we're not doing that here and you need to stop.
yeah, but if any case, it seemed that I sent her, the warning notice once, but she keep doing it because I have the surveillance camera to see what is going on over there. If she doesn't do anything to cooperate with me, of course, I cannot evict her, correct? So it's just like I keep just bugging her that, you cannot do the business in the
start
property.
Again in November and December.
November and December, what did you say earlier? I'm sorry, I missed the part.
Stop bugging her now because you can't do anything about it until January. So start bugging her in November and December.
Oh, okay.
In January, you can kick her out.
Even though that's under City of Los Angeles and rent control?
The county of Los Angeles and city of Los Angeles, yes. But once COVID leaves in January, you get then they have to follow the rules of their lease, and now they're running a business out of their house and they can't do that.
I see.
Okay,
Okay.
so tight right now because you can't do anything about it right now. So start about Thanksgiving, remind yourself it's a good time to go back and start building your case again. So in January, you can get her out.
Okay, okay. All right, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else have anything? Is babysitting a business? Babysitting is allowed per the Department of Fair Housing. That's not considered a business. All right, are you guys ready? I know 2 weeks ago, I told you all about LA County inheriting LA cities, really strict and stringent rent control rules and their ridiculous relocation fees and their ridiculous per diem amount per day. I remember I was losing it that day. I was so frustrated. Okay. Here we go. The state Senate has a bill that's working its way towards the governor's desk, and it would prohibit the use of wage garnishment for collecting unpaid rent and other debts from most Californians. Senate Bill 1477 by Bob Wachowski, and it says D. Fremont. I know some of you know exactly what that means, would no longer allow wage garnishments for individuals earning between $36 to $41 an hour or less. These people would be exempt from wage garnishment, granting protections to debtors making north of $85,000 a year. This exemption is not based on, would apply to all debtors based on individual pay, no questions asked, says an opposition letter from a coalition of trade associations that includes various apartment associations. In a nutshell, what can I tell you this bill's doing? It's gonna stop us from being able to garnish wages for landlord-tenant debt if your tenant earns $41 an hour or less. Says I can't garnish their wages. It doesn't say that I can't levy the funds in their bank account. They're trying to stop us from being able to garnish tenants' wages. Bob Wachowski is the senator out of D. Fremont. Is what it says. Senate Bill 1477 by State Senator Bob Wachowski, and I'm pretty sure I'm botching up his name because it's WieckoWski. Part of me wants to say Mike Wachowski from the Little Monsters, but that's a whole nother conversation. Don't ask. It's a Disney movie, you guys. Don't. Monsters Inc. There we go. So if my tenant is running a business out of his apartment, even though it falls under the 80 medium for Los Angeles County, I will be able to evict January 1st. If that's a material breach of the lease, most likely, yes. Babysitting is different than running childcare. They allow you to have up to eight children in a daycare or a childcare facility being run out of a residential dwelling. And us as landlords can't do anything about it. We can't say they're running a business. We can't say babysitting or childcare running out of a residential is a protected class with fair housing. They're allowed to do that, up to 8 children. Whenever they tell me they're doing that, I try to find another way to get rid of them. And usually tenants give you enough rope to do that with most of the time. Not always, but every once in a while. I had one I chased for a long time until I finally got him, and I caught him on a technicality. I love those. I'm upset about Senate Bill 1477, but it makes me realize and understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to help the majority. You know, and I have to say, sitting on this side of the fence really makes me feel exactly what a minority group feels like. I don't wish this upon anybody, having so many rights protecting others, but nothing protecting us. I mean, come on, that's how we feel, right? And now they want to take away that we can garnish wages? Are you kidding me? Why don't we just have to put their name on title? I mean, come on, aren't we going for that law next? Just saying. Can you force them? Keywords there, Val. Force them. Can we force them to do anything? Sorry. Force was a poor choice of words, just saying. Can you force them to get special insurance for having all those children? No. Daycare does not require special insurance. I'm the word master, okay? I am. It's a thing that I watch out for because my managers for so many years would say, will you look at this letter for me? And I'd look at the letter and go, do you want to get fired or are you trying to get me sued too? You know, it's just the verbiage. I'm a big thing about verbiage, and I got verbiage for days. Do the tenant have to tell the landlord that they're babysitting? Yes. And the landlord must allow it. It's a fair housing issue, and it has to do with children are a protected class, them getting care. I hope this is all making sense to you guys. It sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I remember going to a property once where I was going there to teach a class, and I walked in the front door of this community, and the living rooms all had these really long windows, plated windows, ceiling to floor. And this client is still friends of mine, so we talk about this every once in a while. And as I'm walking through the community, through the window, I see these kids, and I ain't gonna lie, they were bigger than I am, but that's not saying much. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm 4'8", but these kids are like 5 feet tall. They're taller than I am. And they are jumping on a bed in the unit because I can see them right through the windows. They're wide open of these plate glass windows. They're jumping on a bed and onto the couch right in front of these giant plate glass windows. So I see it happening. There's nothing we can do about it. Somebody's gonna get hurt. Still can't do anything about it. So I do understand how frustrating it is when something's going on and you're trying to stop it, but it comes across as we're being a harassing landlord. I'm surprised the word landlord hasn't been canceled. Give them time. If the children get injured on the property, is there any liability? Absolutely. Same liability you have for the mailman or your tenant or anybody else getting hurt on your property. Keep your insurance current. It causes quite the ruckus, but unfortunately we can't do much about somebody that's babysitting in their unit. There's a couple things we can do, but it's outside of the box, not outside of the building. And I always find something. That's me. It's the way my brain works. So I'm not real happy about this wage garnishment for back rents, but it makes sense that they would do something to try to protect the tenants from all the rent that's owed from COVID. Because we're gearing up. Small claims is cooking, man. Every day. Bunches of small claims cases going around, judgment being made for the landlord. And they can't combat it. The rent was owed, it wasn't paid, judgment for the plaintiff. I mean, it's simple, okay? But this, oh, I hate these things. You can't see the paper, there it is. Why would they stop us from garnishing wages for money that's owed to us? It's not like they owe the debt because of a bad prostitution event. They literally, legitimately owe this money. And now you're going to tell us we can't garnish their wages? Why? It doesn't say anything about us levying the funds in their bank account. So we may not be able, if this passes, to garnish wages, but it wouldn't stop us necessarily from going in and taking the funds out of the bank account. So we still have a way. Just sucks. Trying not to panic and think too much about that. And I'm sure I'm going to get more questions about LA County and their new adoption of LA City's bureaucracy and bullshit. And which county's next? If you forgive rent, can you 1099 miscellaneous them? That's a question for your CPA. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Oh, here's someone else saying you can. I'm not saying any of that. I don't specialize in taxes. Anybody have any questions? Anything they want to ask Patty? I'm a little frustrated about this bill. If it passes, it's going to suck for a lot of people, especially with this COVID stuff. Sorry, all of a sudden it got hot in here and I need to put my hair up.
Hi, Patty. I have
Hello.
a question. LA RSO, new visitors every few days, smoking pot. So I said to her, look, you know that the smoke permeates the drywall and it's very expensive to replace it. And it's gonna come out from your security, but it didn't faze her. And I'm just wondering how to write it all this up for her.
Wait. January.
Really?
Do it now. If you do it now, it's harassment. Wait until January.
All right. Okay.
Okay. It's still non-smoking. We just can't do anything about it right now. So document.
All right. Okay,
Document.
okay, I'll keep doing that. Thank
That's
you.
what you can do right now in Larso. Unfortunately, our eviction's going through. Absolutely. I don't know who asked me that. Let me look. Geraldo? Absolutely. I just took a whole list of lockouts from the LA sheriff. So we are here. LA County, absolutely, yes. I just took about 8 lockouts from a sheriff in LA, Inglewood office to be specific. And they cover quite a bit of area out of the Inglewood office. Yes. I know it sounds ridiculous. Wait, you're getting them? Yes, we are. Remember, if they owe April, May, and June, they can't self-certify for those months. Tenant advocate groups are telling tenants to pay April, May, and June as quickly as you can because there's no protections for them then. Okay? April, May, and June is where your teeth are in LA County currently. If the tenant hasn't paid April, May, and June, you may want to serve a 3-day, talk to your legal counsel and move forward. Yeah, you can still serve a notice if the tenant hasn't paid June. And it's just for June. Where it gets bad is when you start getting back into January, February, March, because then you're in COVID protected periods. And then you invite COVID to your eviction. But yeah, you should be able to do a 3-day notice for June. Now, starting July until the end of the year, LA County residents can self-certify that they've been affected by COVID. They don't have to prove it. The 3-day notice is dated 6/30. Is this okay to serve? A 3-day notice for what month? June. It doesn't matter when it's dated. Date it today's date if you're going to serve it today. Okay, the issue is if they self-certify. And I saw someone that put April, May, June, and July's rent on a 3-day notice. Makes sense, right? Tenant self-certified for July. Wait, they can't self-certify for April, May, and June. Can they? If you put them all on one notice, they can. April, May, June. July goes on a separate notice. And so do all future months until the end of this year, because they can self-certify. Remember?
I found a thing under the pile of bills in your room. What is that thing? We may never identify it.
Figure out who
And you
it
got
is.
the health secretary in the U.S. who's a man
Okay,
wearing
no.
a dress, who's morbidly obese. Not to
Oh.
mention the Belgium health
It's a-
minister.
Cliff, I muted you because we could hear your TV or the radio or whatever. I muted you. If you want to unmute Cliff, you're going to have to put a message on here. I muted you, sorry. All right, I saw something else and I wanted to make mention of it. Oh, here it is, okay. Hi, Val. Let's go. I just cannot get rid of the stink in a house. We've pulled out the carpet, cut out tons of drywall, put kills on the walls, and let it sit for over a month. We may paint the raw flooring before the new floor with kills, but didn't you say not to use kills on the floor? No, I didn't say that. I've used kills on the floor to, to seal in the smell of pet urine. Also, it helps really well if you paint with kills, lay down baking soda, and then put your padding down. Nice thick layer of baking soda before the padding does wonders. And I'm sure they sell something, but it doesn't work. And I get you. And I tell people all that time, pet urine wicks up into the drywall. It wicks into the trim, the baseboards. If it's sitting on the carpet and the carpet's saturated, it wicks right up into the drywall. Also, change your AC vent and vacuum out as much of the dust and debris out of the vent as you can with your vacuum, just with a hand tool. Not telling you to climb down your ducting, but just as far as you can reach in there with the hand vacuum all that out too. That helps. My other thing would be to contract a restoration company. They probably have an odor eliminating system, chemical fog, something that they can do that eliminates the odor. Okay. Does April, May, June dates apply to San Diego City or only in LA? I have to look at San Diego City. April, May, June, San Diego, they can't self-certify. So I wouldn't be afraid to ask for July's rent. Okay. In LA, they can self-certify. That's why you want to separate them. Starting July, they can self-certify, but for April, May, and June, they can't. Okay. San Diego doesn't have any self-certifications that I'm aware of at this time. I can tell you this. Court delays. We're now seeing a lot of kickback from courts being inundated because let's face it, we all ran there at the same time. With that being said, San Diego has a 60-day delay throughout the county for eviction filings. So they're 60 days behind in San Diego, and they're 60 days behind in Orange County, and they're 45 days behind in Barstow. People tell me, well, LA courts take forever too, Patty. I know, but until they're 60 days behind, I don't report it. Just saying. I know, but we're going to see more delays as this continues to evolve, if you will. Okay. We're going to see more delays. Reason being is a lot of us now have tenants that have just moved out in the middle of the night. Why would they do that? Because they don't want to pay the rent, or they got the rent relief money. They put it in their bank account and they're leaving the state with your rent. Okay. Anything could happen, but we're seeing a lot of them vacating. And when they're vacating, that past due rent becomes due and payable because they're no longer in possession of the unit. So we're seeing an inundation of small claims cases coming flooding into the courts as well, because now that the tenant's gone, they can go after that small claims money. And let's face it, eviction court is not giving money judgments. They're only giving judgment for possession. So after the eviction's done, you're forced to go to small claims court and get in small claims so you can get that money judgment against them. So we are seeing quite a bit of a slowdown within the court system. Orange County, San Diego County, LA County's always delayed a bit. But we're seeing a delay of about 60 days in Orange County, just so you guys know. 60 days in Orange, 60 days in San Diego, and at least 45 days in Barstow. Okay, hold on, I gotta go back a ways. Hilda, rent control property in LARSO. Can I give notice to tenants? They're assigned parking spaces. I have a tenant that blocks the driveway and park illegally. Police has been called many times for this reason, and many others. This guy is a rock in my boot. Did you put up notifications from the towing company and posted the towing signs in your community where they park? Because once that is done, if someone's parked illegally, call the tow truck company and have them towed. We're done. Game over. So yes, you should be able to notice tenants their assigned parking spaces. I'd double check and call your legal counsel and verify that, but that should not be an issue. To eliminate some smell, vacuum the AC out and spray orange oil into the AC unit. That does help. Hello, rental assistance applications are coming in hot now. Okay, Samantha. They have until July 29th to submit for Riverside County. What does that mean if there's no back rent, but do not pay August? Do landlords still have to apply? You're not being forced to apply anywhere anymore. Landlords are not forced to apply for anything. Period, end of report. The housing is key on the state level forced landlords to apply. That program has ended. You are not required to participate in any programs going forward unless it's Section 8 or something along those lines. But as far as housing is key, live to rise, and the communities, they're just as a community trying to help tenants. But you as a landlord are not required to participate in those programs anymore. A tenant did not pay June. I served a 3-day, but he said he would pay double in August. I don't believe him, but I'll wait for August to serve him another 3-day for both months. Bad news seems Kern County is 3 months out for evictions. I don't think so. To be honest with you, we had a little bit of trouble with Taft, not a big deal there. Rental assistance was over. Rental assistance on a state level ended on March 31st. Period, end of report. That is when you were required by law to participate in the governmental program. That ended on March 31st. You were, as of April Fool's Day, you are no longer required to participate in any rental assistance program. Got it? Most of them have ran out of funding. And they're trying to be sneaky with my landlords. They're telling them, oh yes, your application's sitting here. It's approved and waiting to be paid. They don't tell them they're out of money. Oh, you're in queue to be paid. Be patient. They don't ask them how much funding is still available. And you guys, please, I beg you, don't take your legal advice from your tenant, from a tenant advocate group, from a federally funded program, because they're there for the tenant, not for you. You need to take your legal advice from your attorney or your law firm or your apartment association or whoever's directing you. Don't get it from the tenant and run rampant with it. Rental assistance is over. Is this an option in Kern? If so, can I apply now? Kern County may have a program available. They may not. I'll look and see, or you can Google Kern County rent assistance. I got paid for 18 months of rent relief. He's still 10 months behind. What's going to happen with this rent beyond 18 months? Evict him. Why are you not evicting? What city is it in? LA County. Okay, you can still do a 3-day notice for April, May, and June. And if they don't pay you in 3 days, you can evict them. Remember, they weren't protected during that time period. And we're governing off the state rules. Call your legal counsel. Because all you guys keep hearing on the radio is no evictions until the end of the year. Can't do any evictions. Who's paying for that advertisement? Why are they trying to make landlords believe they can't do anything? Paying attention? I'm trying, you guys. You can do evictions. You can. LA City is extremely difficult. If you're in the city of Los Angeles, you need to talk to your legal counsel. If they're in LA County, it doesn't scare me so badly. Go for April, May, June. Get them for June. Get them for June. You got it. 3-day them for June. If they don't pay, get them. But they are notifying tenants to pay April, May, and June, letting them know that if they don't pay those rents, they can and will be evicted. And we are seeing evictions be quite successful. We are seeing a delay in other counties now. Like I said, we're seeing a huge delay in Orange County and San Diego County. They're running behind about 60 days. Now, let me see what you're saying. Am I still required to do a disposition of security deposit within 21 days if it involves an eviction? Absolutely. The day your clock starts ticking is the day you receive possession. So if you go all the way to sheriff lockout, that is day one. The day the sheriff locks them out is day one of your 21-day countdown. Okay. But yeah, you're still required to do, the only time you are not required to do a disposition of security deposit is on 2 occasions. No security deposit was ever collected throughout the tenancy. And the other one that is not required is when you have a court order or a stipulated agreement stating that the landlord is keeping the security deposit. So if you have a stipulated agreement, that's usually where I see that. That would stop you from doing a disposition of security. And the other thing that would stop you is no security deposit was ever taken from the tenant or received from the landlord, however you want to say it. Am I still required to do? Yes, you are required to do a security deposit disposition within 21 days of you taking possession. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger. Anybody have questions for me? Anybody?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Patty.
What you got, girly?
What happens if it was like a hoarder house and I'm having a really hard time getting it all together before the 21 days?
Do an estimated disposition of security deposit, send that out within 21 days. And then you have 14 days from the day that you receive the final invoice to do the final disposition, even if that's 6 months from now.
Okay.
So basically you're going to attach all your estimates, the invoices that you have already. And if you're estimating because you don't have an estimate yet, estimate high. Remember, you can always request less money later, but you can't add more. So you want to be high in this one and factual in the next one. So you're doing an estimated disposition of security deposit, do your regular security deposit paperwork, just write estimated at the top of it.
Okay.
And then know that you need to do a final within 14 days of receiving the final invoice, even if that invoice doesn't come to you for 6 months from now. You're
Okay, that
still-
makes sense.
Okay. It's a really cool way to buy yourself some more time in the event that you need it, folks. So pay attention. Everybody get that? If you need more than 21 days to do your disposition, just write estimated at the top of it and then have some estimated charges in there rather than factual invoices. And then you have up to 14 days after the date on your final invoice to send them their final accounting. Is the 21 days for security deposit for you to mail or receive? Postmarked within 21 days. I don't care when they receive it, as long as you postmark it on that 21st day or before. And that's 21 calendar days, not business days, folks. They come quickly and they go even faster, especially if you're dealing with a hoarder scenario. Where else have I seen it be a huge problem? Water damaged housing. We had a unit once where a fire ripped through several tenant dwellings. And rather than try to figure out what was owed and appease the situation, I just refunded deposits in their entirety. Code enforcement red tagged the property. I gave everybody information that didn't have insurance on how to contact the Red Cross. letting them know that they would put them up for at least 3 days, because that's what the Red Cross will do on a minimum. 3 days. But that's 3 days that they're out of your hair, not bugging you, and you have time to come up with a plan of action. I see something else down there. Hang on. Anytime, anytime. So everybody knows how to do an estimated disposition of security deposit now, and everybody learned something today. How to buy more time at goodbye. You didn't learn anything today, Victor? I'll try again. So you guys can do an estimated disposition of security. All right, Victor, tell me what I can help you with. Day one is when the sheriffs kick them out. Exactly, exactly. The day that the sheriff gives you the property back is day one of your 21 days. Victor says he did. Okay, great. I have some nitpicking items to do on the disposition due to an insurance claim. Not sure I want the tenant to know I did a claim, so putting a deductible of $2,500 on the dispo is awkward. Maybe I'll write an estimate and just wait for a bit. You can write it estimated. You can write it estimated, and then all of those estimated charges that the insurance claim is coming. And then you can just do your revised dispo and just charge them for your deductible at the end. But you can scare the crap out of them at hello. Yeah. Me? I would never do something like that. Smoking damage inside a building causes permanent damages. Hold on. But smoking damage inside a building causes permanent damage, inter-wall floor substructure. Yeah, it can. Smoking can do that, and so can urine. It just goes everywhere. It gets wicked up. It's disgusting. Indoor air intrusion, molecules from marijuana, tobacco, etc. Yep. Smoking's bad. And then you have to deal with secondhand smoke and third-hand smoke. Third-hand smoke, you know that yellow nicotine tobacco, nasty, sticky residue? We've all seen it. We've all smelt it. We've all touched it, although we don't want to admit to it. That can emit something called third-hand smoke. Okay, and what they found out is that that secretion on the wall, or that spot on the wall, can emanate, not eliminate, emanate the tobacco carcinogens through the air over the course of time. So even though they're not there and they're not smoking, they can still be inhaled if you don't remove them from the property. So with that being said, there has been some people that have come forward stating that they got third-hand smoke, if you will, and have suffered repercussions from it. So now that is an actual thing. It's not just secondhand smoke, it's now third-hand smoke. So that the stuff that deposits on the wall can continue to let it out as many times as it wants to, whenever it wants to. That's why it's so difficult to remediate smoke damage. And I mean, come on, let's have this conversation. Have you ever had a fire in a unit? Ever? You know how hard it is to get the smoke damage out of a neighboring unit? Smoke damage is no joke, you guys. It's extensive. Okay, hang on. Whoa, I gotta go way back. Way back, hold on. I have some nitpicking to do. Okay, thank you, smoke damage. I have a property owner in the city of LA. The tenants are not paying rent, and as a result, the owner cannot pay their own rent. Can the owner get the tenant out in so that the owner can move back into their house? If the owner wants to move back into a property in LA County, it has to be like for like. So if a landlord wants to move in and the person living in the property is an 80-year-old disabled lady, then the person moving in has to be an 80-year-old disabled lady. If the person residing in the unit is a single mom with 3 kids, then you better be a single mom or a single dad with 3 kids wanting to move into your own property. It has to be like for like. I consider that discriminatory. What I think doesn't matter. What is that? That is straight discrimination. Straight discrimination. So if the landlord has a family member that wants to move into the property, the tenant that's in possession has to have the same demographic. That's discrimination. How come I can't ask a college student to move out of their unit so I can move in my 80-year-old disabled family member? I can't, because they don't match the same demographic. Remember, I don't write the rules. I just tell you what they are. Okay, I'm going back. I know you guys, I've been lollygagging and haven't been reading it. So it's quite tricky to get back in under LA's ridiculous rules and restrictions. And come on, you guys, they just implied all of the city of Los Angeles's bureaucracy and bullshit that's been going on for 20, 30 years to all of the unincorporated cities in LA County. There's 144 of them. Where are they going next? How many estimated damage costs can you do? After first estimated cost is sent, how many days do you have to send the permanent costs? I'll try to explain this one more time, Teresa. Pay attention. If you have estimates and you write estimated on the top of your disposition of security deposit, okay, dispo paperwork, and you write estimated at the top, then you have legally 14 days after you receive the final invoice. Final invoice has a date on it, right? So you have 14 days after that date on that final invoice to send the final disposition of security deposit with all the actual invoices attached. If it takes 6 months for you to get that final bill, then it took 6 months and you have 14 days to send out your final accounting statement. Okay? There is no set time limit. You could flip it and only need 1 extra week. You could need several months. Okay? The stinky house is so bad. Sad my insurance does not cover smoke and urine damages. This is running over 15,000 to repair and still stinks. Stop trying to figure it out, Val. Call a restoration company. See if there's something they can do to help you. They make chemicals to do this. They treat at hospitals. They know what they're doing, okay? So if there's a way to outmaneuver it, they're gonna know. I say call PRC Restoration Company and ask. Owner moving back into a livable unit, bedroom, bathroom. What about a storage unit? What about a storage room? Owner wants it back to store. Does the owner live on the property? Does the owner want to be guilty of bait and switch? And I'm going to talk to you guys about something, and a lot of you, especially my professional property managers, are going to go, wait, what did Patty just say? If your tenant, I'm sorry, let's rephrase this. Pay attention, everybody, pay attention, okay? If you have a prospective applicant and they apply to rent your house for $1,000 a month and $1,000 security deposit. And I know nothing rents for that price. I'm giving you an example, okay? Work with me, I'm blonde. The rent's $1,000, the deposit is $1,000, okay? And your tenant doesn't meet the criteria, the applicant doesn't meet the criteria. But You want to rent to them anyway. They're only off by a couple points, blah, blah, blah. You must legally send them an adverse action notice and deny them. Paying attention? Before you offer them to go ahead and rent from you with a higher security deposit. If you don't, it's bait and switch. They are applying, and everybody's eyeballs, and I wish I could see all of you, are probably this big right now because you're going, wait, what did Patty just say? Say that again. We need to absorb this. If they're applying for a house that's $1,000 a month with $1,000 security deposit and they don't meet your criteria and you still want to rent to that person because they're off by a couple little points, legally, you have to send them an adverse action notice before you offer them to stay and rent with you with $1,000 a month rent and a $2,000 security deposit. If you don't deny them first with an adverse action under the terms they applied, then what you're doing most likely would be considered bait and switch. You must deny them under the terms they applied and then offer them additional terms. Make sense? I hope everybody's wrapping their head around that and absorbing that right now. Because how many times does somebody come in, you don't quite qualify, but we'll go ahead and rent to you for a higher security deposit. The landlord wants an additional deposit of $500 in order to rent from you. If you didn't deny them first and legally send them an adverse action notice, you're not doing your job. You're making yourself susceptible to bait and switch. Okay? If you deny them because they don't meet your criteria and you want to change the terms of which they applied for, you must deny them first. If you don't deny them, then it's bait and switch. Does that make sense to everybody? And I'm trying to get everybody to wrap their head around that because we're going to see quite a bit of that in the very near future when things shift. Oh, they don't qualify. These people don't qualify. They got a bankruptcy. They don't meet my criteria. I'll rent to them, but I just need a higher deposit. If you're going to go ahead and rent to them with a higher deposit, first, you must deny them under the terms of which they applied. Everybody got that? If you got questions, spill them out now. Because I know they're coming in. Here they come. Teresa Horn, or moving back in. What about a storage unit? Owner wants it back to store. If the owner wants to take back a garage or a storage unit or a shed, then they must give them a reduction in rent because they're offering them less services. If you fail to do that, you're probably going to get your butt handed to you at a later date. What if owner is a superior senior and the evicted squatter is a 45-year-old non-working person? Can't be like on 4 owners. It's like for like. I understand. I agree it's discrimination. Girl, don't get me started. If the owner is a senior superior or senior super and owner lives on property and inherited a squatter, we're talking about if you have a house in LA and you decide you want to move back into it, you have to meet the same demographic as the person in possession in LA County. It's part of their moratorium. And it only applies right now. This is not a law. It's for COVID until the end of this year is when the like for like applies, okay? It's not a law that's going to stay in place forever. If the rental single family home has a storage unit behind the garage that the landlord wants to use for their own storage, can they exclude that building from the lease in LA City? Yes, but you need to do it at hello. If you didn't do it at hello, you're not going to be able to go back and reduce services in LA City. Ivana, if you have an applicant that wants to rent a house and they're standing there trying to apply from you and they don't meet your criteria and the landlord still wants to rent to them, even though they're not qualified, they just want a higher security deposit in order to rent to them, You have to deny them under the terms they applied. And then you can offer them the higher security deposit. Let's do an example. Val wants to rent a house from me, but Val doesn't meet my criteria. She's off by just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and tell her that I'm going to rent to her. But first, I have to deny her under the terms she applied and give her an adverse action notice because I'm not renting to her at the advertised price, whether it be the rent or the deposit, doesn't matter. So whenever you're asking for a higher security deposit based on an application that you've received, you first must deny them and give them an adverse action notice and then tell them, however, I would be willing, the owner is willing to rent to you with a higher security deposit. If you don't deny them first, of which the terms they applied, $1,000 rent, $1,000 deposit, I want $1,000 rent, but I want a $2,000 deposit. You can't renegotiate the terms of which they applied until you deny them. Got it? I hope that makes sense. So Val wants to rent from me. Val applies. Val's a couple short. Okay, you got it now? You have to deny them under the terms they applied. So if, let's put this in a different scenario. Rent's $5,000, security deposit, $7,500. They don't meet my criteria. First, I have to deny them before I say, I'll go ahead and rent to you, but I want a $10,000 deposit and $5,000 a month in rent. I have to deny them from that smaller deposit that we talked about before I offer them the higher deposit. Got it? Okay. Okay. I'm just trying to help because a lot of people miss that step and they just go, oh, the landlord will rent to you. Yes, there is a form for an adverse action notice, Cliff. A lot of times we'll go, okay, so you don't meet all of our criteria. We are going to require a higher security deposit. Don't do that. You can't do that. That's a bait and switch. Paying attention yet? You changed the terms on which they applied. So they applied under these terms. You can't change the terms of which they're applying for. You have to deny them first. Then you can change the terms. Got it? If you don't deny them first, they could hold your foot to the fire and it ain't going to be pretty. Okay, anybody else have any questions? And everybody's going to watch Senate Bill 1477. Where is the adverse? Hang on, Teresa, I see you. I just can't get to you yet. Hang on. Okay. Is there an adverse action notice? Teresa, that's for S house, like age, same years, even sex, same race, because of COVID-19 only, that can't be fitting, that doesn't follow logical or equal opportunity. Where is the civil liberties? Teresa, you do know that this is California, right? Just asking. I get you, honey, I get you. You don't even know. Where's the adverse action from the first denial? Adverse action, if they apply and the rent is $1,000 and the deposit that you're asking for is $1,000 and you want to ask for a higher security deposit and still rent to them, you have to first deny them under the terms of which they applied for the $1,000 rent and the $1,000 deposit by giving them an adverse action notice saying you don't qualify to rent here, blah, 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 blah. Then you can turn right around in the same breath of air and say, however, I would like to continue to rent to you with a higher security deposit of $2,000 and $1,000 on the rent. When you change those terms, you got to first deny them out of the terms of which they applied. Otherwise, what you are doing could be considered bait and switch. If you already asked for 2 times the deposit, whether accommodations can be made to accept a potential tenant. None. You can't ask for more than that on a vacant unit. 2 times on a vacant unit is California state law. So you can't.
Hey, Patty, for
Yes.
your like for like in Los Angeles County, I know I'm not in Los Angeles County myself, but I have lots of family there. If, let's say there's a 45-year-old person in your home and you want to move into that home, could you pay a 45-year-old person to live in your home for a month to be the person to move in, and then they decide to move out? Like, they make a notice saying that they're going to move out, so then you get your property back.
That's not how that works.
Just
And I live in LA. I'm just saying. So how it works in LA is if a landlord wants to move back in or has a family member that wants to move back in, they have to pay the relocation fees and they have to meet the same demographic as the tenant. So long story short, you would fill out an application with Larso or the county if it's in an unincorporated area. You would then pay them the relocation funds of $22,000 and have them put that in an escrow account. Then you can serve the notice to the tenant to get out. The tenant, hold on, somebody tried to call me. Am I back yet? Okay, sorry. Somebody tried to call me. The tenant then can fight that for up to 1 year, taking their time to get out, blah, 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 blah. But then they have to, okay? If the person moving in doesn't meet the same demographic as the tenant in possession, it may not work, okay? And you're right. They should not be judging who can move in and who can't be there and who can, because that's controlling the demographic of the area. They don't want to touch the demographic of the area. That's why if you're bringing someone new in, they have to meet the demographic of the person that's already there. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's not fair. It's not fair. None of this is fair. I mean, let's face it, we're the minority. It's not fair. I tried several restoration companies 2 months ago and they were over 2 months just to come to my property. That's why I stopped, but I'm going to do kilts, orange oil, baking soda anyway. Girl, do whatever you can. I also know that, don't laugh at me, okay? I also know that there's an odor neutralizing tool a lot of people don't utilize, but you all know about. What happens when you mix baking soda and vinegar? Makes a big mess, right? We used to do it with volcanoes. It also eliminates odor. Welcome. So baking soda and vinegar act as an odor eliminator. Okay, remember that. It does cause a chemical reaction. You're right, but it neutralizes odors also. Just so you know. Don't drop any red food coloring in it though. Sorry. Blonde. Gotta have some fun somewhere. Yeah, I tried several restoration companies. Okay, I got that. Seems like the tenant would be happy to rent with a double deposit in order to be accepted. What ramifications and who would spill the beans regarding bait and switch? The tenant. The tenant would. It would be a fair housing call. They advertised it at this price. When I went and implied, they told me I had to pay that price. See how that worked? It's your adverse action notice showing that you denied them that's covering your asset from that accusation. Smoke from marijuana tobacco is hazardous waste chemical, state, federal code, environmental, EPA waste. The city of LA polytrictions are not allowing code laws or any laws of science, chemistry, environmental, hazardous waste, oil, syrup, doesn't matter what it's from. Smoke in general. I mean, if your community is non-smoking, that's non-smoking of anything. Tobacco, marijuana, crack, methamphetamines, sage, meat. Non-smoking means non-smoking of anything, including smoking meat in a meat smoker on the premises. That's smoking. Non-smoking is non-smoking of anything. Okay. You can't put that you don't allow marijuana use in your property. That's like saying we don't allow alcohol use in our property. And it's okay to do that if you have a restriction on title or you're federally funded. If it's not one of those two things, you can't restrict it. Okay? Paying attention? Marijuana is just as legal as alcohol. In fact, has a lot of the same rules. It can't be in reach of the driver in a vehicle. Passengers can't be participating in the activity while the vehicle's in motion. What am I talking about? Driving down the road and your friends are drinking a beer in the passenger seat. Well, they can't be smoking a joint either. Okay, it has a lot of the same rules. Can't walk down the street and drink a beer. Can't walk down the street and smoke a joint. Okay, they have a lot of the same types of rules. Yes, I would agree. City of LA is not following laws and rules of science, equal opportunity, etc. It's not just the city of LA, it's our state. They're going with the majority. That's not us. If you have a non-smoking policy and someone smokes without your knowledge, is the owner liable for secondhand smoke? Could be, or third hand. It could be, absolutely. That's why you got to stop smoking. But come on, secondhand smoke damage, when they tell you, hey, the neighbor's smoking, that's you got to do something. It was brought to your attention. What is my thing that I like to say? React upon notification. React upon notification. So if you don't know what's going on, the owner doesn't know what's going on, nobody knows what's going on. Until somebody knows it's going on, then the liability happens. Got it? Tenants do not give a hoot if they pollute. Sorry, I love you guys. Tenants do not give a hoot if they pollute. It's how you police it. Yep, yep, yep. Hands down, it is how you police it. But do limited. Yes, it is limited. Prevented from enforcing anything. They can eat marijuana, inject it into their body, not have to smoke. Byproducts ruin the property. You're right. They may have a medical card to use marijuana. That medical card does not give them permission to smoke it. I have yet to find a physician that will prescribe a tenant to inhale a carcinogen. Paying attention? They have a license to use it, not to smoke it. Paying attention? Marijuana now comes in pill form, liquid tincture form. You can put it in food, you can make butter, you can bake a cake, you can make a donut, you can sprinkle it on anything, okay? They don't have to smoke it. Smoking it is where the biggest problem is. It stinks. It smells like a skunk. Nobody finds that pleasurable. It doesn't smell good, okay? But now they can put it in pills. They can put it in oils. You can rub it on the exterior of your skin. There's all kinds of ways to ingest it and or use its medical qualities. You don't have to smoke it, okay? And that's a big argument that tenants will give you is, I have a license to smoke it. No, you don't. You have a license to use it. So we're talking about city of LA or state of stupidity, federal government, violating laws of science, chemistry, etc. I couldn't agree more. It is a state of stupidity. I like that. I'm using that. I'm stealing that from you. Thank you, Teresa. State of stupidity. Got it. Landlord's rights are being violated, but not tenants' rights. Hire Patty. Patty gives a hoot. She will boot. Please let me know. Please let me hire you. Gee, cream on skin, marijuana cream on skin. Yeah, you can do that. You can rub it in your skin. I'll be honest with you guys. My mom got something and I can never remember what it's called. But it's some kind of an infection in the leg and it can happen anywhere. And I can't remember it. It's a medical term. It causes swelling and abscesses, pustule abscesses on the skin. I don't remember what it's called. And I don't want to say the wrong thing because it sounds ridiculous. And no, it's not gangrene and it's not gout. It's something that happens and it swells up tremendously. And I can't remember what it's called. It starts with a G though, so you're in the right neighborhood, okay? My mom got that. The doctor told her, and it was extremely painful for my mom. Her leg went from this size to, I won't show my other hand. It swelled tremendously, and no joke. I was kind of scared that the swelling was so bad it wasn't gonna split the skin and try to come out. I mean, that's how bad it swelled. Don't remember what this is called. So my mom's like, I'm miserable. This is so painful. It's so painful. And it had these little pustule abscess looking thing on it. It looked like an infection or something. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty gross. It happens a lot to older people. I don't remember what it's called. Forgive me. I'm not in that field. Okay. So they let my mom know that the swelling could last anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months. I was like, oh no. So I called a friend of mine and told her what happened to my mom. It's gastro something, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the term. You guys all probably heard of it. Anyway, at the time, nursing home, hold on. Okay, I know I don't have the words. So anyway, long story short, my friend, God love her, said, I'll help your mom. I made this marijuana salve. And I looked at her and I said, I can't tell my mom I'm putting pot on her or she'll freak. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be honest. So I say, hey mom, Carla's got this magic cream she wants to try on your leg. Let me know how it works. Okay. It's got marijuana in it, but it's not going to make you high. It's absorbing from the exterior of your skin. So you're not going to get the psychedelic effects from it. You're going to get the medicinal effects from the plant itself. You're not going to get high, mom. You're not going to want to eat the refrigerator, I promise. So let's try it, okay? And she goes, well, it's legal for adults, right? And I said, yeah, mom, it's completely legal. So I put it on her leg and then I wrapped it with saran wrap because it was like this oily, I would describe it as coconut oil all over her leg. Okay, so I wrapped it in saran wrap so she didn't get this stuff on the couch and her clothes, etc. Within 24 hours, the swelling was gone. No joke. Okay. My mom looked at me and went, that shit's a miracle. I said, never seen it before. Don't know anything about what you have and what just happened. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I'm glad it worked. Mom said that it took the pain away because it numbed that area that she put this salve, if you will, okay, on her leg. About 6 hours later, she tells me, can you put it on again? Like, yeah, mom, you're fine. No problem. I'll put it on you again. Put it on her again. 2 days later, the doctor shows up. Actually, it's a nurse because at the time my mom was on hospice. And the nurse looked at me and said, your mom said you put something on her leg? I said, yep. She said, do you want to tell me what it is? I said, nope. She goes, well, I need to put it in her chart. I said, okay, why don't you go ask my mom? I did. She said to ask you. I said, oh, my mom doesn't want to tell you that she's participating in marijuana experiments. She goes, is that what you put on her? And I said, actually, it was a friend of mine. She goes, I've heard about the medical benefits, but I didn't really think they worked. That's a miracle. That doesn't happen. And she was totally flabbergasted. I get it. Okay. Medical marijuana does have some medicinal qualities for various aspects that truly do help. It's not all a bad thing. Okay. It stinks like hell though, just for the record. Smells like a skunk. But I'm not saying I would go tell you guys to slather yourself in marijuana salve, but it worked for my mom in that particular incident. And guess what? She didn't smoke it. It didn't offend the rest of the house. It didn't stink up the area. Okay. So there are ways that people can utilize the benefits of marijuana in various forms, not necessarily for the head and the psychedelics that can actually help them, and they don't have to smoke it. Okay, just remember that. Okay, and then let me go back and say, just call it hemp cream. There we go. Hemp cream, Mom, it's hemp cream. Yep, super seniors get it. Yep, they do. I can't remember what it's called. It's not gangrene and it's not gout, but it starts with a G. And if somebody said it, I'd go, yeah, that's it. And they'd be like, oh, that's funny. But yeah, something very common that elderly people get, legs swell up. It could be an arm, a leg. It's not gout. It's not gingivitis. That's in your mouth. that's bad breath, right? That's bad gums. I can't think of what it's called, but it helped my mom tremendously. I was happy about it. The nurse was shocked. I mean, less than a week and the swelling's completely gone, and they were expecting 6 weeks to 6 months. So I don't always shoot down the fact that people want to utilize marijuana. It's not always in a head change or psychedelic type of manner. For my mom, it helped her tremendously. It came in a cream and I rubbed it on her. It was great. She didn't get high. She didn't act stupid. She didn't want to eat the refrigerator. She did ask 6 hours later, can you put more on? She said it numbed that area and she didn't have any pain. So, hey, if that's what it took, that's what it took. At the time, I didn't care. I was trying to alleviate some of my mother's pain. So I went with alleviating mom's pain. Ice cream. It just says herbs, religious faces, racial basis cannot discriminate on religion and race. All right. Anybody have anything else they want to address? Otherwise, I'm going to call this a day. Tell you guys I'll see you next week, hopefully with no more Senate bills, Assembly bills, etc. If we get the opportunity to vote no on Senate Bill 1477, please do it. It's going to stop us from being able to do wage garnishments against landlord-tenant debt. And come on, you guys, we keep losing all of our tools. We can't just keep losing them. It's frustrating, extremely frustrating. And I don't know why, but 3 people have called my Widgets Way line while we've been in this Widgets Way live. I wish I could just like say, hold on a second and invite them to the thing, but I can't. It sucks. I didn't ask. I'm a bad person. I'm talking about the injunction hearing news. I will call Dan Eukelson right now and find out. And I'll see if he wants to join us next week on Widgets Way. Maybe he'll come in and talk about it a little bit, okay? You heard the injunction was denied? I hope so. Should we bombard this senator? Yeah, if you want to. Hang on. Senator Bob, and I'll spell the last name for you guys because I'm murdering it. I already know. Wieckowski. With Wieckowski. We'll go with that. If creditors are unable to recover on outstanding debts using the last option of wage garnishment, access to affordable credit will be further restricted for consumers who need it the most. The letter says there is an enormous amount of academic research finding that legislation creating barriers to the legitimate collection of debt results in higher interest rates and less access to credit for low credit consumers. The legislation has already passed the state Senate, will be taken up by the Assembly next month with the legislature returns from its summer recess. So they're going to return from summer recess and decide whether or not they want to pass this bill. Holly Trickinson's anti-landlord list. Who has it? Thank you, you guys. Hang in there next week. I'm sure I'll bring you some more news that we may not want to hear. I'd rather tell you than have you blindsided by it. Simply said. I'd rather have you in the know than have you not knowing anything. Just saying. I know it's not the greatest news. We'll see if it passes. Yes, we are in a police state. I got to go back really quick and remember what that was of that you said that was so funny because I'm stealing it. I'm actually going to go back and screenshot it. State of stupidity. I like that. We're from the state of stupidity. I mean, California. I love you guys. All right. Thank you. I will see you next week. Hopefully with better news. Lockouts are happening. If you've been contemplating doing an eviction, do it. Don't wait any longer. You're bleeding money. It needs to stop. The time is now. April, May, and June seems to be safe numbers for LA thus far, LA County in general. Other counties, you can include July. There's no restrictions in San Bernardino, Riverside, just in LA, sorry. Slowdowns we're seeing in courts are Orange County, San Diego County. LA is not as slow as it's not as fast as it could be, but it's not as slow as I've seen it before. So not too much to report on there. And Barstow takes forever. 45 days just to get a case number. All of us went there at the same time. And small claims, same thing. If a tenant's no longer in possession, then COVID rents are owed now. So we're seeing a huge increase in small claims case filings as well. All right, you guys have a great week. I will see you next week. If you need me for anything, give me a call. Let me know. Hunt me down. You know how to find me. Until then, bye, guys.